What's up guys, it's Ryan Allred here with Pro Play Games. I just finished the ARG Circuit Series here in Philadelphia. I finished in first place. I was playing the Rayquaza GX deck, the turbo version with Beast Rings and some Ultra Beasts in there. It's a pretty cool list. Credit goes to Connor Fenton. He was the one who came up with the idea. We made a couple tweaks, but not really much. It was mostly just his original idea. Let's go ahead and take a look at the list. So we're playing 4 copies of Rayquaza GX. This is kind of what the deck all comes down to. That's attacked for 3 energy, does 30 damage times the number of grass and electric energy you have in play, and the ability lets you discard the top 3 and attach energy from the basic energy from your discard to this Pokemon. So it accelerates the deck, and its acceleration also powers up the attack. This is almost entirely going to be our main attacker in the game. We also have a Latias Prism. This helps us set up the Rayquazas. Its attack for 1 energy lets you attach a basic energy to all of your benched Rayquazas from your discard. So honestly, the card is not as important as you would think it is, because it really is only there for when you miss setting up the nuts and blowing up your opponent. You can just stall for a turn with Latias because it has a decent amount of health, and it's only a 1-prize attacker, and it's about your only 1-prize attacker in the deck. For our Ultra Beasts, we're playing Xurkitree GX and Pheromosa. Xurkitree is really there for Zoroark decks. That's the main reason we're going to use it. Its ability, it can't be damaged by Pokemon with special energy, and Zoroark control decks only play DCEs. So if you put a Xurkitree down, if you can keep your bench down and keep them from doing like big shenanigans, Xurkitree alone can win you the game, because you'll just attack and you'll deal damage and discard the top of their deck as you're going. But Pheromosa, this is the good Ultra Beast really in the deck. Fast Raid can do 30 on your first turn, so against like a Buzzwole deck, you can knock out a, not Octillery, what's the little guy, Remoraid. You can knock out a Remoraid, and you can take like a Donk turn 1. Or you can even hit a Rockruff if you get a Fighting Fury belt on and knock that out turn 1. The reality though is we're playing it for Beauty GX. It does 50 times the number of prize cards they've taken, so we're going to use Pheromosa to take our last 2 prizes. You know, we only need 2 energies on the entire board to take those last 2 prizes, so if they're knocking out our Rays and we don't have any energy, that's fine, we only need 2. And we can even Beast Ring those 2 energies on there ahead of time. We're also playing a Rangaroo for our draw support. We get Instruct so we can draw up to 3. This deck is super turbo, so we're milling down, we're like discarding our hand down to 0 all the time, or at least 1. So those 3 extra cards are huge, and it also makes us end proof at the end of the game. Because last turn of the game, usually you just need a Guzma. So you can thin your deck down, have this Rangaroo down, they end you to low, and you just Guzma. We have 2 copies of Lele. Big for setting up in the beginning. We don't play a whole lot of basics, honestly, so it doesn't really hurt us that much putting these on our bench. We have a decent amount of bench space when it really comes down to it. And this also gets us our last Guzma for game. For our supporter count, we're playing 4 copies of Professor Sycamore, 3 Cynthias, 2 Ns. This is our draw support line. N is generally not very helpful in this deck because we're so fast, we take prizes so quick. But N is still obviously good. You know, it's good when you're losing, and when you're losing is really when you want to do better. Sycamore we play 4 because that's huge to get energies in the discard. 4 copies of Guzma. You cannot play less than 4 copies of Guzma. You're going to mill stuff with your Rayquaza, so you have to play a thick line of it, because you will lose some of these due to Rayquaza. So like, we need 4. We're playing 3 Ultra Balls and 4 Mysterious Treasures. This gives us a ton of outs to search for Pokemon, and more importantly, it gets the energy into our discard. We can try and Stormy Winds with Ray with none in the discard and hope we hit some, but like, let's be real here, that's not going to happen. You really need to Ultra Ball or Mysterious Treasure to get the energy in the discard before you use Ray. We're doing 4 Max Elixir. I would play more than that if I could. It's awesome acceleration. 3 copies of Beast Ring. We're really playing 3 because your goal is to try and use one of these in the game. They're going to knock out a Ray that has all the energy on it, and you're like, they think, and you kind of think too, if it weren't for Beast Ring, you wouldn't be able to hit 180 or 210 again. But this gives you an extra 2 energy, and suddenly, even though they took 3 energies off your board, you've got math again. We have 3 Float Stones and 2 Fighting Fury Belts. The Float Stones are huge for turn 1, because whatever you start active basically can't attack. You only accelerate energy to the bench, because Ray is when you bench it and Elixir is to the bench. So float is huge, like turn 1, turn 2, to be able to get something active and start playing the game again. The Fighting Fury belts are awesome to prevent knockouts, and the 10 extra damage also lets us knock out Ultra Necrozma and Buzzwole GX. We have 2 Super Rods. It gets us back energy late game when we've milled too many, and it gets us back our Rayquazas when they get knocked out. A lot of times I'll use it on Lele as well, so that I have another out to hit Guzma if I milled all of my Leles. You really need to manage your Super Rods carefully. You need to see how many are in the deck to start with, and if you lose one, that second one has to be like the most precious card in your deck. We have 2 Field Blowers. This lets us get rid of Parallel City, other Fighting Fury belts, and the Mirror Field Blower is huge. It can also let us get rid of a Floatstone on a Garbotoxin so that we can start playing the game again. Floatstone's kind of important, depending on the matchup. You want to know how many you have, but it's really not the most important card. We play 7 Grass and 7 Electric. Really, an even split makes sense because Ray uses 1 of each. We need to have a ton of energy to make sure we hit our Elixirs, even once we've started milling them into the discard, so we still have them in the deck to hit with Elixir and with Beast Ring. This is the deck I played. The matchups today, I went 4-0 and then ID'd twice into cut. The mirror on it is honestly a terrible game to play because you're really just seeing who sets up first, but Latias helps you kind of fix that. Bad matchups, I'd say, are anything with Garbotoxin and Gardevoir. But other than those 2 decks, it really has a strong place in the meta right now. It's really well positioned, as long as you don't accidentally mill the wrong things, but there is a lot of luck component to it too, which makes it a little frustrating to play. But anyway, give the deck a shot. Like I said, I think it's really cool. I think this is the best way to play Rayquaza right now. Certainly worked out for me today with the first ARG. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Pro Play Games and Ultra Pro. They are the best sponsors out there. So happy to be on the team. Keep an eye on us. We got more videos coming. Thanks.